right, you just saw it there. The Avengers, the big superhero movie that continues to tear up box office records, earning a record-setting $103.2 million in its second weekend of release here in North America. And Michelle Kung is joining us from Los Angeles with the latest on this blockbuster. Michelle, I know that there were high hopes for this movie, but has this really blown past anything that was anticipated?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the fact that it's gotten to $1 billion after 19 days is kind of incredible. It shows that, people are they really want to see this thing, and they're going over and over again.
And we should say that worldwide it's taken in $373.3 million, over $1 billion worldwide. So it just seems that it's not even a phenomenon here. It's worldwide. People are just flocking to see this movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it opened actually abroad before it came to the U.S. So, there was anticipation built up there, which led to, increased interest here. And so it's kind of this like snowball effect of people just really wanting to see it.
And even it stayed #1 in its second weekend, even though it dropped 50%. I mean, Avatar comes in a close second. Was it expected to do this well when we look at some of those box office huge movies that it's beaten so far?
I think that people always expected it to do well simply because it's made up of all these different characters that have done well on their own. But clearly, when you throw them all together, there's something that appeals to everybody in your family. So that's another reason to kind of get people out. But yeah, I mean, it had a really great holdover. Like, it made over $100 million in its second weekend, which has not happened in the U.S. before.
And so tell us what the people in the movie industry are thinking, talking about right now. Does this bode well then for the summer blockbuster season?
I think it definitely opens up the field because it shows that people, if you give them a good product, they're willing to go out and see it. So I think that studios really have to, if they have a good movie that they have planned, they should feel pretty good about it.
And you mentioned earlier that this is a movie that combines a lot of characters a lot of people know already. How key is that to the success of a movie? As you said, people want to go see movies they know about, they're familiar with these characters. Does that make it a lot more difficult for movies that, say, don't have that sort of, comfortability with viewers going in?
I mean, I think it's incredibly critical nowadays because there are so many films and TV shows and video games fighting for people's attention. You really have to hook them in with a brand that you already know. So in terms of the studio wanting to get a film out there, it helps their marketing message if people already know who Iron Man is and you're saying that he's joining his friends in a film.
All right, so it
becomes like a shorthand to get people in to see the film.
Right, they already know about it, so they want to go back and see it. So let's take a look at some of the other movies that were ranking over the weekend, the top 5. Dark Shadows came in second, the Johnny Depp movie, at $28.8 million. I mean, that's pretty hard to follow an Avengers release, right? But it did pretty well. Were they okay with this?
And it did okay. I think they were expecting something more in the 30 million range, so this is a little bit below what they were expecting because they figured, Johnny Depp, a lot of women would go see this movie. So it did okay, but not as well as they were hoping, certainly.
And tell us about the #3 slot. Think Like a Man took in $82 million. Is this movie appealing to viewers?
Yeah, I mean, this is a holdover from before. I mean, the thing about summer movie season is that basically you're going to have one big movie every weekend as opposed to a couple competing. So a lot of these movies are kind of holdovers from last month, but are going to trickle out as all the big products, all the big blockbusters come out.
And of course, we can't forget Hunger Games, which is still hanging in there in the top 5. It's brought in about close to $400 million. This one continues to be a blockbuster as well.
Right. As long, maybe people, if things are sold out of the Avengers, people are going to still go see other films that are out there.
And so what are we looking at coming up? Any big releases that we're keeping an eye on this week?
Yeah, well, this Friday is the release of Battleship, which is Universal's big blockbuster based on the Hasbro game.
All right, great. Well, we'll be watching, of course, and we'll look forward to you to bring it all to us next Monday to see how they all finish up. Thanks so much for joining us.